also said, it's very difficult to be sort of the white cream in the middle of the Oreo cookie, where you are not only parenting your own children, but you are now beginning to parent your own parents. And these are the parents whom you have admired, whom you have adored, whom you have always respected. And in many ways, they're beginning to act like adolescents. They are moody, they can be obnoxious, they can be irritable and difficult. They demand constant reassurance and attention, and they have now been removed from their pedestals. And it's a great sense of loss that we as children feel, because they lose their independence and they are now dependent upon us. So the transition between parent and child as our parents age creates a lot of emotional difficulty for both sets of individuals, and often requires some adjustment over a period of time to overcome, regardless of whether you're putting your parent in a nursing home situation or bringing your parent home to live with you. You have to sort of change your perspective about your parents.
You're addressing a role reversal.
Right. Yeah, that's real painful. I've seen a number of people with this issue, and that's been the first thing that they've brought up. And a lot of times people are very aware of it. That
excuse me, Michelle.
Yes.
People come to you for counseling on an issue such as this?
Oh, so, all the time. I mean, it's not an uncommon issue. I shouldn't say all the time, but it's certainly not an uncommon issue to worry about, even if it's not imminent, but to worry about a parent aging, and thinking about the possibility of having to care for that parent, of having, thinking about mortality. Sometimes they haven't had experiences yet. They're adults, maybe with their own children, and now their parents are declining. And so these are very painful issues, and they come in even prior to something such as a stroke occurring, fearing the feelings that are kind of being evoked by an event that may be happening now or may happen in the near future. And one of the things that often gets in the way of them making sound, effective adult decisions is that they resent perhaps the idea of having to do that this is my parent, someone I loved, someone who took care of me, and now I have to turn around. Yes, they have to take care of them, and that's difficult. And a lot of times they also feel very guilty because other people say, well, how come you can't take care of your parent? They did X, Y, and Z for you, and you should open your heart. And that's very painful for them because they feel very selfish, and indeed it has little to do with selfishness as much as it has to do with losing a parent and the loss and the emotional responsibility.
That's right, and often you find that your parents are relying upon you for what now appear to be simple routine decisions, like what movie should I see tonight, or how many groceries should I buy. And I remember when I was 18 years old and I would go on a trip to Florida, I would call my parents from every destination, and now I find I make sure that my mother calls me every time she travels, and it's quite a jolting flashback.
It could be very painful to watch that occur as a parent gets ill or gets older, and you're feeling the responsibility of having to take care of him or her.
I think that for your listeners, there's quite a bit of literature in the library aimed at the layperson to deal with some of these feelings. Now, there's no question that one has to come and have an opportunity to discuss this with a counselor, with someone who can help you look at the situation in a more objective manner. But there are a number of very good books that have been written on the topic of you and your aging parent, or something to that effect, where they deal not only with you and the parent, but the entire family relationship, you, your brother, your sister, and your parent, and get a chance to work through some of those issues.
And also, I think, I'm sorry,
go ahead.
I was just going to, we all have so much to say. I was going to suggest that I think this is also something that the family can plan for, rather than waiting until the crisis occurs, to try with it, and I know that it's painful and difficult, to discuss this eventuality before it happens, so that the family has some strategies, some proactive strategies in mind to deal with the situation.
Correct, like a preventive intervention.
Preventive intervention.
Right, where the parents, when they're still healthy and they're intact and they're doing well, can sit down with the family and say, look, what...
They may have some very specific ideas about it themselves.
Right, because they might not want to give up their own independence in some way. They would prefer, let's say, to live in a semi-nursing kind of nursing home situation or apartment with doctors available and nurses' aides. I mean, it can be an open line of communication for the entire family.
Michelle just made an excellent point, too, and that was if you deal with the parents and allow them to participate in making the decision rather than you making the decision for them when they are no longer capable, I think that can make a very big difference in the acceptance of extended family perhaps living with you or being placed in another situation.
One thing I want to mention also about the husband, he's kind of being maligned here a little bit, and understandably, because he's resisting the idea, and which is difficult for his wife, who's probably being pulled in many different directions. But he did bring up a number of suggestions and stated something I think was very important, and that was she was kind of making up this support system that she hadn't even checked out yet in terms of her brothers helping out or whatever. That's very. Mark was actually basically stating that it's important to make plans as opposed to jumping in, and part of her impulsivity seemed to have to do with an intense sense of guilt and a sense of obligation. I have to take care of her no matter what, no matter how it impacts on the children or my family or my relationship with you. And that is not a good premise from which to act in making that kind of decision.
This is something that's been in my mind, and I'll tell you, all four of you have given me something to take home tonight. And I know that's probably true of many of you at home. In fact, we're going to be moving on here in a moment, and I think that now is an especially important time to remind everyone about our group of marriage counselors and counselors on life in general who are sitting in the adjacent studio and who are willing to talk to you about this idea, others that we've covered tonight. We're not talking about crisis questions in your life. We're talking about everyday questions in your life. The phone number is 459-2525. Now, Boaz also mentioned about books available, and you know, we have this pamphlet, which is also going to list some area agencies which can give you many of the same answers that our panel has been talking about tonight. The pamphlet is called Marriage in the 90s. It's yours free simply by sending a self-addressed stamped envelope, and the address is Marriage in the 90s in care of WVIZ TV, 4300 Brook Park Road, Cleveland, Ohio. It's Marriage in the 90s, but that's not only for married people. It's for single people, and there are plenty of single people who want to be married, and it weighs on their mind a lot. People who are divorced and want to be married again. And this is the area that we're going to move into next. The single person, both always having been single and married once or twice before. We have once again gathered our actors and actresses together, but this is not exactly a everyday setting. It's a different kind of drama. We'll go to the tape, and I've got a feeling that one of the thoughts you hear, or more, is going to have crossed your mind, either today or the day before yesterday, if you are single. Let's go to the tape.
You know, I just don't have the time to go out and look for a wife. Who really does? Right now, my career is my life. Oh, I have outside interests too, but I want a certain level of success with all the perks, and I'm not there yet. It's hard enough dealing with the pressures of a career without having to deal with all the demands of a relationship. I'll deal with those later.
It seems like everywhere I go, the male-to-female ratio is like 1 to 10. It's not worth all the competition. I'm not into the bar, seeing the meat markets. All that pretending and game playing, who needs it? Mom said I could find a nice man in church. The last man I met in church was 7 years old. There's real work and agony involved in finding a mate. Sure, sometimes it's fun, but it can be hard on your self-esteem. My last boyfriend told me that I was a great product in a lousy package. We broke up.
I was dating a guy quite younger than I, but we broke up because I got sick and tired of hearing all these snide remarks. It's okay for an older man to date younger women, but the reverse, well, I don't know. It's a double standard.
Why get married? Everyone lives together these days. And if it doesn't work out, you pack up and move on. It's not like there aren't plenty of women out there. You keep looking, you date around until you find the perfect one.
Where's Mr. Right? I'm not asking for much. 6 foot tall, blonde, muscular, independently wealthy, classically educated, drives a foreign sports car. That isn't what I want. I have the material things I need. So what I want is a man who can make my life richer, and not in the material sense. Grandma always said, find a man with a kind heart and a sense of humor. Where are you?
My religion is really important to me, but if I want to stay in this relationship, I have to either tone down my conviction or change what I believe. To be honest, I don't like either choice.
It's not that I'm against marriage. Most people I know have gotten married. I mean, if I found the right woman, I'd get married. And if for some reason it didn't work out, well, there's always divorce. Boy, it seems like half the people I know who got married got divorced.
I'm afraid to get too close to some of the men I'm dating. Love and affection leads to intimacy, and what with this AIDS thing, I'm not sure I want to take any chances. I mean, can you really ask a man for the results of his most recent blood tests?
I've been seeing this divorcee recently, and I really like her. We have a lot of fun together, but I just don't see a future in her. I mean, she's got 3 little kids. Now, I like kids as much as the next guy, and I hope to raise a few of my own someday. But the last thing I need is an instant family, especially someone else's.
All I need is love and marriage. That will solve all my problems. I will be financially secure, have lots more friends, and be much happier. That's it. Marriage is my key to happiness.
I just got the kind of job offer I've always dreamed of. And it's with a great company, too, although their management can be a little conservative. Friends who work there say that the boss has a few old-fashioned ideas himself. He likes employees who are married with a family. I'm not even seeing anyone right now. Looks like I've got my work cut out for me.
Why should I get married? I'm very used to living by myself. Marrying someone would mess everything up. I have plenty of friends. I'm having a good time. Why tie myself down? You get married, you buy a house, you have kids. Who needs it?
Some of you right now are saying, I wish we had another hour. And I do myself, for that matter. Being single and considering marriage these days, it's almost an obstacle course, really. Ellen, however, is marriage for everybody?
Not necessarily, and certainly people in the 90s are a little more cynical about entering into a marriage commitment as a result of the divorce rate being so high and perhaps some unfortunate experiences with dating and the fact that there are more eligible people in the dating pool today than ever before, in addition to the fact that a lot of our societal attitudes about dating have changed. Not only are men dating younger women, but lo and behold, it is now acceptable for women, even in Cleveland, Ohio, to date men who are 10 years younger than they are. Dating today is a difficult phenomenon, but it's also a changed phenomenon in the sense that people who are single today are not just single by imposition as a result of circumstances. Many people today are actually choosing to be single. They want to be single. They don't necessarily want to be married and have families. Many women today are choosing consciously not to be married because they are pursuing careers, they do not want children, and they enjoy the lifestyle that is suggested by the freedom of being single. And that's a very, very new attitude today. About 10 years ago, we used to view singlehood as something that was a period of punishment or exile, a period to be rescued from, and something was wrong with you if you were single. But today, many people view singlehood as a conscious choice that benefits them tremendously.
I think it's kind of a matter of what one is committed to. If these people, are finding reasons to not get married, they'll certainly find them, and that's okay too. They don't have to feel pressured by society or by anyone else to be married. Yet, if they are committed to having a relationship and really want a relationship, I think there are definite ways that one could find one by, first of all, doing activities where you think you would find people that are interested in the same kinds of activities that you're doing. In other words, if one wants to meet someone, a bar might not necessarily be the best place.
We gave a rub on church, but that still is a viable consideration, right?
Right.
To meet nice people.
Right, to really meet the kind of person that, you know, that shares similar interests and similar activities. And if a person is committed to get married, not to necessarily fill their entire feelings of emptiness and void in a relationship, first I think a person has to feel